But what sales is generally, if you think about it, all it is asking somebody to do something, take an action that they would normally do. And you're not asking anybody to jump off a bridge or set themselves up
Right.
or anything, but you're asking them to do something and you're asking them to do it now. That's generally all sales is.
Hey, friends, welcome back to Commercial Real Estate Unfiltered. Today, we are joined by Chris Castanes, and he's the president of Surf Financial Brokers, where he works in mortgage and financial brokerage space, supporting clients and real estate professionals in financing solutions. In addition to his brokerage role, he's the speaker and author of Nearly Motivated and host of the podcast You're Going to Be Great at This, which focuses on business, motivation, and personal growth. So, Chris, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here and looking forward to this conversation.
I am hoping to help you out and help your listeners out. And thank you for having me. I appreciate what you do for everybody out there.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Chris, how did you get started in the lending finance world?
I'm not actually in the lending world. I was going
Okay,
to correct you on that.
great.
I'm an insurance agent.
Oh, great. Hey,
So
we need insurance too.
we have I'm an independent insurance agent, and we're a brokerage in that sense of a insurance brokerage, but we do have a lot of the same emotional scars as realtors and everybody else out there. Is that we're all 1099. We're out there
Yeah.
doing our own marketing, self promotion, all that stuff. We have to get our own benefits and things like that. So I'm in the same boat. A lot of my clients are in the real estate space.
Yeah.
Here, I'm in the Myrtle Beach area in South Carolina. So I think we always say you can't swing an insurance agent without hitting a realtor.
It's the truth. It really is the truth.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
and it's a lot for an entrepreneur, right? There's a lot of people want to get into entrepreneurship, but they don't realize how much is involved. So to keep an entrepreneur motivated, maybe share a little bit about your podcast and kind of what you deal with there.
yeah. My podcast is called "You're Going to Be Great at This," and that was the name of my first book I wrote. Which is, you know how it is when we go to work for a business that wants salespeople, and it's 100% commission,
Yep.
and they're just looking for people. It doesn't matter if it's insurance or real estate or vacuum cleaner sales, whatever. They're looking for anybody, and they'll say, "Oh, we'll train you." And they always tell you how great the product is and how people are going to love you. And then they say, even though we've known you 8 seconds during this program, this whole interview process, we know that you've got what it takes and you're going to be great at this. And we always tell people when they say that, run. When they tell you how awesome you're going to be at something and they can't keep an agent or a sales rep, then
Yeah.
that's probably a problem. So that's where I got the title for the book and the podcast. But yeah, I've been in sales since 1985 professionally. Before that, I was in college and I was still doing sales. So I've always been doing something: insurance, magazine subscriptions, telemarketing, whatever, office supplies. And a few years ago, I just wrote my first book and wanted to make a book that said, here's something I wish people had given me this information when I first got into it. And so that's what that book was. And I was all learning about public speaking and wanting to go out there and talk to groups. And then COVID hit, and that was not going to happen.
Right.
So I started blogging,
Yeah.
and it wasn't a whole lot left to do. People didn't want me coming to their house during COVID to sell them life insurance. I blogged a lot, and that's when I put that together and made the second book, which is called Nearly Motivated, much like myself. And
Hey, we all have those days, right?
hey,
Earlier today, I was like, man, I need to find some motivation.
yeah, and my books are not for that at all. But what I try to do is make it more like tools that you can use. I always say, if you went to the local community college and you wanted to be a plumber, they wouldn't tell you, "Oh, we got to get you motivated." They just give you some wrenches and some pipes and show you how to do it. And
Yeah.
that's what my books are. That's what my talks are. My podcast, hopefully, is let's give you some tips and tricks to help you succeed out there. And because these are things I've learned over the years and ideas I've stolen from other people,
Yeah.
and tips and tricks, things for networking or how to put a sign magnet on your car and things like that. Just basic stuff that help eliminate those landmines for those of us who don't really care to even though we're in sales, we're not real crazy about it sometimes.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I like that. I like that being talking about you've got tools in a toolbox. And I think once you have something to work with, I think that it does help your motivation because you're not just standing around looking like, what do I do? What do I do? And I think this episode is going to be great for a lot of young business owners or people who are just getting to business for themselves. And one of the things that you talk about is the importance of networking. And I know we hear that all the time and there's all the different kinds and you know I that's how I built my business was getting involved in different networking groups or going to activities. After about 10 years of doing that, I kind of was like, oh, it's getting a little bit boring, so let's find a different way to network. That really is the key. This is a people business, right? Sales is a people business. So why do you think that networking still wins?
In-person networking is it makes you build those relationships. And if you went to Chamber of Commerce after hours 2 or 3 times, you made a few friends there and built up those relationships. And the problem that we usually run into is people go to these events and they go once and they go, man, I went and I didn't sell anything and I'm never going to that again.
Yeah,
And I want to just take them by the collar and give them a little shake and say,
yeah.
look, you're not there to sell anything. That's not the goal of a networking event. And the goal is to make yourself referable.
Mhm.
And to do that, you need to go consistently, build those relationships up
Mhm.
because that person that you met may not need your services, not need your product. But statistically, everybody, according to a Wall Street Journal article that I read, people on average know about 611 people.
Okay.
So even though you don't need my services, there's a lot of people that that may need my services. And so that's where you want to just make yourself referable. I'm not going to the Chamber of Commerce after hours or a local networking group just to sell something to somebody. I'm there to make an impression, build that relationship, build that trust,
Yeah.
and let them get to know me and go, oh, this guy's not shady or he's not a fly by night. He's a good guy. We can
Yeah.
send him a referral. And
Yeah.
that's
I think that one of the mistakes I've seen a lot of business owners make and entrepreneurs make at these things is number one, what you just said, thinking they're going there to sell something. And the second one is that people want you to ask them questions. And I think one of the strategies that I took is instead of just telling people about myself, got curious and started asking people about what they did and how do our industries interact or different things like that to where you're getting valuable information because I tell my team all the time, I was like, when you're working with a client, pay attention to what the client's saying, but also what are they not saying? And, being able to identify what those pain points are and is there a way that I can help meet that need?
that's true. And there again, if even if that person that you're talking to can't help you or be of service, they know 611 people that might.
Yeah.
And so it's really if people would just take the time and do it correctly and build, it's a long game.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not going and guerrilla market. And when I first got out of college, we were doing door to door accident insurance sales out in
Wow.
the middle of the country. And it was a one and done. You went in and you high pressured them and you tried to sell them. And if they didn't say yes, then you got in the car and you went to the next house.
Yeah.
But this is the long game. You're part of the community. You're part of the chamber. You're part of this networking group or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And just making yourself out there. And like you said, a great strategy is just to find the person that nobody's talking to, that's
Yeah.
just sitting there off in the corner.
Yeah.
You will be their friend for life if you will go and help that poor
Yeah.
little wallflower out sometimes.
Yeah, because I've been to some networking things even last year where I was like, gosh, I was told this is a great chamber, this is going to be great. And you pay your money and would go to events and nobody would come talk to me. And I think there was one person that did. And you've got to find the right vibe that matches your authenticity and how you represent yourself in the world. I didn't sign back up to go to that chamber the following year because I'm like, hey, listen. But I think what you said is like the flip side is be the person that you wish someone would be to you if you were sitting in that corner.
Exactly. I was an ambassador in a local chamber here years ago, and part of our job was when they had a new member, they would assign us to one
Mhm.
of these new members, and we would meet with them and hey, who are you wanting to meet? What kind of industry are you in? Let me see who I can introduce you to. And
Yeah.
we babysit them for, that's a bad term, but we'd walk around with them for about half hour or so. And I would tell them, I say, look, I'm going to walk around with you and introduce you to people for about 30 or 45 minutes, but I also want to go out and do some networking as well. And just be honest with them and say, this is, the clock's ticking.
Yeah.
And so, and people appreciate that. You don't have that person in that
Yeah.
position. Then if somebody goes ahead and says, meet Mr. Johnson, he's a plumber and he doesn't know a soul here, can you talk to him? And I'll go, who do you want to meet? And he says home builders. Then that's who I'm not wasting his time introducing him to the chiropractor at that point.
Right. Totally. That makes perfect sense. Why do you think it is that relationships outperform tactics?
It's just going to happen that way. If you and I have a relationship and we're good friends, that's going to last a whole lot longer than me just going, hey, let me come in and fix your dryer and leave.
Yeah.
That's the tactic. Or, hey, Caleb, I've got this great idea for your business. Hopefully that's going to build that relationship. And the tactic is just that one little piece that might get me in the door to build that relationship up. So I think you could do a lot. It's not bad to use tactics, but you want to make sure that you're using them with the end goal of being, let's be of service to more people and back to being referable again.
Yes. Yeah. And you mentioned this, that it is a long game. Referrals are a long game. And I'm finally at a place in my career where almost everything I get, I had 3 referrals today. And
Awesome.
But like you said, it's one of those things that compounds over time. And you have to remain consistent with your reputation and how you deliver your services. But what are some ways that you can turn everyday conversations into an opportunity to build a relationship?
Well, a lot of it is just like you said earlier, just listening to people. I've gone to weddings and just they put you at a big table with a bunch of people you don't know, and you're sitting at an 8 top or a 10 top, and you get stuck with the bride's third cousin from somewhere. And the next thing you know, I'm just talking to them and, hey, where are you guys from? And asking them questions because they're strangers in a strange land too, probably just like I am. I don't know who all these people are, and build that relationship up. And just like it doesn't matter if it's a wedding or it's a networking event, it's the same. We're people. We want to talk about ourselves a little bit, and we like to tell people love to opine about things that I don't really care to hear, but whatever. I can pretend like I'm interested sometimes. And it's just building that relationship. I've actually gotten sales like that from going to a wedding reception or going to, I don't want to sound like Wedding Crashers, that movie. I went to a funeral and got 3 life insurance policies out of it.
People are thinking about it.
While it's on your mind, now's a good time for me to hand out my card.
And I know with sales comes a lot of rejection. And I think that's one of the biggest fears people have is the rejection, right? So, how do you reframe rejection?
Okay, so let me back up a little bit here. When I was single, and I was in college and going to the local bars and trying to meet young ladies or whatever. And I was a hot mess. If you saw me, apparently I was wearing a cologne called Girl Repellent or something. And it was just, and my friends and I were all in the same boat. So our opening line would always be, I thrive on rejection. Will you go out with me? Or and just make it a win-win. So of course the girl would be like, no, and I'd be like, score, and then I'd go back and high five my friends. We get it. It was a joke, and eventually somebody would say, sure, they thought it was funny, and they'd laugh or whatever. And you take that mentality of I don't. No's are going to just have to fall off of me. It's like that cookware with the no stick surface, and you just can't let it get to you. You're going to get no's all day long. But if you go, okay, I can thrive on this. As long as I'm getting no's, that means people are at least hearing me, and I'm active, and I'm staying active. If I'm not hearing anything, that means that maybe I need to change my marketing tactics a little bit. But if getting rejected, sometimes I think it's really funny just to selling insurance and, hey, would you like some long-term care insurance? And people are looking at you like, are you just nuts? Why would I want that? If you just build it in, bake it into the equation ahead of time and go, this isn't going to bother me. It's part of the game. And I get it. Don't take it personally. Some people will say no, and then 6 months later, they might come back to you and say yes. I went to a chamber of commerce here one day trying to sign them up for an insurance program. And no, get out of my office. You guys are everywhere, blah, 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 blah. And 6 months later, I'm in a hair salon and I'm talking to the hairdresser, and she's got some woman's head in the bowl, rinsing her hair out or whatever. And I'm talking to her and just explaining to the hairdresser what was going on. And the woman came out of the bowl, and it was the one that had chased me out of the office. And she said, I didn't realize that this is what you did. Come see me next Wednesday. And we set her up, but it was 6 months later. And so the rejection is going to be part of it. It's not going to bother me. Now, I know some people, they'll one time. All you got to do is tell them no one time, and they're done. I'm out of here. I'm never going to sell this again. I'm never going to try. And I'm like, how did you get through life? How did you get to this point?
And I think just looking at rejection really is feedback in an area that we can learn from. Maybe it's, oh, we need to try a different approach, or find some feedback out of it. That way it's not just a no, you're getting something that helps you down the road.
Right. And as long as it's constructive,
Agree.
But if they go no, and here's the crazy thing, people will say no to you for just the weirdest array of reasons. They might say no to you because they don't like your glasses, or that you drive I had a guy ask me what kind of car I drove one time. He was like, only successful people have good cars. And I was like, will a Chrysler do? I don't know. And I mean, people, if you have facial hair, people just, no, I don't want to deal with that person. Or he just looked at me funny. And it's just weird. They'll just come up with some of that. A lot of them, they won't tell you. They'll just go, well, I'm just not interested. But then later on, you find out it was because your hair was cut a weird way, or they just didn't like the way you dress.
People inherently have implicit bias. And I think so much about being in sales, and because I would never consider myself a salesperson, but I'm helping my clients meet needs for their businesses. I think it's so important to reframe, not just say I'm in sales, but what does that mean? How do you actively walk people through the process of getting their needs met through your services or your product? And one of the things you said is that we're all in sales, whether we like it or not. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so let me redefine sales, because that's what I do. I'm just going to take a word and make it mean whatever I want it to mean. But what sales is generally, if you think about it, all it is asking somebody to do something, take an action that they would normally do. You're not asking anybody to jump off a bridge or set themselves up or anything, but you're asking them to do something, and you're asking them to do it now. That's generally all sales is.
Right.
Hey, Caleb, would you like to buy some insurance? You've got all this debt and you need some life insurance. Let's go ahead and set you up. I'm asking you to take an action now. Now, if you say, come back to me in 6 months, that doesn't do any good for anybody. So we're all in sales. If it doesn't matter if it's a financial transaction, it doesn't have to be financial. It helps, makes you some money. But anytime you're just trying to convince somebody to do something, if you've ever tried asking a kid to eat their vegetables, or ask your teenage daughter to clean her room, you're asking them to do something now with the idea that there's going to be something on the back end for them. Here's a product or a service. It's not, I don't want to say make it sound like a bribe, but you know what I'm saying? It's just a matter of trying to convince somebody to do something. So if you've ever been at work and you've tried to get your coworker to order pizza instead of going, do this, let's do it this way. Sports analogies are great. You always get the basketball coach who wants to get his team to buy into his game plan. He's a salesman.
Right.
And so we're all selling. We may not be on the sales team, but we're all in sales. And if you're trained to be a salesperson, or if you know a few techniques and things, you can always transfer that over to other parts of your life, your kids or your family or your coworkers or politics, whatever. You're just asking people to do something and to do it now. That's all it really is.
But I think talking about that, I think it goes back to what we were talking about, the importance of networking and it being a long game. Is you're putting yourself in rooms and with people that you can help educate. So when the time comes for there to be a need for a call to action, you've established that trust and expertise with someone. So it's easier for them to say yes. And that's been my experience anyway.
Yeah, it's always there again. It just goes back to building relationships. And sometimes you're not even around them. They may see you on LinkedIn posting articles about things that might be of concern to them, or they might see you in the community doing work at the local, having a cookout for the homeless shelter or something. As long as they could see you and then meet you a little bit, or if you're constantly posting things on Instagram of here I am helping some local charity or something like that, it goes back to what you're saying is if they see you, they build that foundation, and now they go, now I want to meet this guy.
Yeah.
And so it's how it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What do you think about, because I know a lot of companies teach people scripts and things like that, which I think
Mm.
has a place, right? But very few people like cold calling. So why do you think that that just being who you are or you being authentic matters more and your mindset matters more than just learning a bunch of scripts?
The scripts are, when I first started, scripts is what we started with. And it's a great track to run on when you're first starting. And they always sound hokey and cheesy. And let me tell you how you can make
Yeah.
this for 58 cents a day.
Yeah.
But eventually I tell people do it, learn them. And as you go, your own language and your own voice will come out. And then that's where that authenticity comes in. So if you're not in front of a client and you're in the car and you're on your way to go see a client, rehearse what you're going to say.
Yeah.
Even if it's that script, because when you get there in front of them, you're going to mess it up,
Yeah.
but they're not going to know. They don't know the script.
Right.
And they're going to think, oh, this guy just had to think it through in his head a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
The scripts are great and they're good to learn by. But as you go, I know people get to intersections and see me in the car and think I'm just completely nuts because I'm over there talking to myself and I'm telling myself what I'm going to say when I get to the next appointment.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever heard the analogy of a golfer, but you swing a round of golf will take you about 4 hours.
Yeah.
But the actual playing of the game of golf takes about 30 minutes tops.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of downtime. You're walking from one hole to the next. And when you're doing that, you take your swing and then you start thinking, okay, let me see what I did just now. While you're walking, you analyze that thought. Okay, did I do it right? Did I swing correctly? Why did it go to the right? Okay, now what do I have to do? And you start preparing for the next shot. So it's the same in sales. I just left that one appointment. How did I do? I want to give myself a little assessment.
Yeah.
Now let's see what's going to happen at the next one.
Yeah.
And let's talk about what we're going to say when we get there.
Yeah.
And when they ask this question, how am I going to respond?
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of rehearsal, talking to yourself, people thinking that you're insane.
That's part of the fun.
It comes with the territory, I guess.
Yeah, totally. As we start to wrap up, I feel like I could touch on several other things, but what's one actionable tip for someone that's listening? They're at a networking event. What is that actionable tip that will be effective for them?
I tell you what I do. In my world, we always want to meet with people one-on-one. And so what I'll do is I will go to it. The old school was, hey, I just showed up at the chamber and I've got this giant stack of business cards and I'm going to hand them all out and whatever. And we all know that you go and you deal them like poker cards.
Yeah.
And you go home and you don't hear any phone calls.
Yeah.
So what I do that's a little bit more effective is I will go to a networking event and I will say, I don't have any of my cards with me. I'm sorry. After I've spoken with somebody for 5 minutes, I say, I'm sorry, I didn't bring any of my cards with me, or I forgot them, or my dog ate them, I left them on the school bus, whatever you say. And can I get your card?
Yeah.
And give you a call later in the week, and we'll set up an appointment. And we can I'd like to hear more about it. And the key words here, I'd like to hear more about it in a more appropriate environment. And I'd like to talk to you about what you've got going on. And I'll tell you a little bit about my business, but I want to hear about your business.
Yeah.
Can I do that? Just give me your card.
Yeah.
And they'll give you a card. 9 times out of 10, I should say 99 times out of 100, they'll give you their card.
Yeah.
And then the next day or a day later, you pick up the phone and you call them. They know who you are. They know why you're calling. It's not going to be cold. And you can say, hey, I just met you at the chamber 2 days ago. I told you I was going to give you a call. Where's a good place we can go meet for coffee?
Yeah.
And it's like a micro goal. It's like that first goal is let's make that appointment.
Yeah.
Then from there, I can,
yes,
do some fact finding and find out what the need is, or see if they're in the market for a house, or if they're in the market for insurance, or whatever they're looking for. I have that one-on-one, or I just get them to open up. But the key is just to get that card out of them.
Yeah.
So when I go to a chamber event or a networking event, my goal, instead of giving out 50 cards, is to get 10 cards.
Yeah.
I can get 10 cards and I can set 9 appointments from that.
Yeah.
If I do it right. And it's really easy. It makes life so much more easier that way. It's so less stressful.
Yeah. And it puts the power in your hand for you to be able to want to reach out and to do that. And I think, and people like to do that. People like to talk about their business and what they're doing.
Yeah, it makes it so much easier to just say, hey, Caleb, let me take you out for a cup of coffee, my treat. And I just want to hear what you're doing.
Yeah.
And they're going to open up. They're going to tell me and then I forgot that my kid did this and he's in trouble and whatever. And they're going to tell you, it's amazing. People will tell you all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's my one big trick that I take away. And I tell everybody, just don't hand out cards, ask for everybody else's cards.
Yeah. That's because you can build your database that way, right? I mean,
yeah.
And then you have people to go to in the future. Always about connecting. Chris, appreciate it.
And if you build up a good database, that's something that's yours. And it's not rented property like social media. That's your email list. So that's your property.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Chris, thank you for connecting with us today. I know that you're available for speaking engagements that share sales, marketing, networking, professional growth, but where else can people find you online? If they want
you can find me on LinkedIn. I enjoy LinkedIn a little bit, and I'm trying to think where else. Instagram, you can find me there. YouTube, on my YouTube channel is where my podcast is, as well as on Spotify and those other ones. But just Google. There's not a lot of Chris Castanes out there.
And we'll make sure we'll have your contact information in the notes as well. But Chris, thanks for sharing your time and expertise with us today.
Thanks for having me. And if I can be of service to anybody, please let me know. I'm a goofball, but I try my darndest.
That's amazing. Everyone listening, thanks for your time today. Reach out to Chris, and we will see you next time.
If today's episode gave you valuable commercial real estate insights, subscribe, rate, and share it. Connect with me and the David Commercial Real Estate team through the show notes. Remember, real estate is more than buildings. It's about building community. See you next time.